Hello everyone. Now we will be studying about Python data structures. So, Python data structures are a way of organizing data so that it can be accessed more efficiently depending upon the situation. So, there are four inbuilt data structures present in Python, that is list, tuple, dictionary and sets. In this particular video, we will be discussing about list and tuple. So let us start. So the first data structure is list. List is used to store multiple items in a single variable. So few properties of list include that list can store multiple items in a single variable. In a list, the items are present in a sequence. That is, they are arranged in some particular order. The third property of list is that it is mutable, which means that we can make changes to a list. The next point to note is that a list can contain any value of any data type or structure. In the given image, we have a list of 5 characters. The first character of the list is indexed as 0, the next is indexed as 1, up to the last character, which is indexed as n-1, where n is the length of the list. In this case, the length is 5, that is, there are 5 elements. So the last element will be indexed as 4, that is 5 minus 1. Now suppose if we don't know the number of elements in the list and I want to get the last element, we index the last element as -1, the second last element as -2 and so on. Now we will see various operations associated with list. So we will see how we declare a list, how we access different elements in a list, how we add elements in the list, and how we delete the elements. So let us start with declaring a list. An empty list can be declared by simply assigning the variable as list, or I can simply use the variable name equals to a pair of square brackets. So this is how we declare an empty list. We can also declare list containing various elements. So I can write L equals to, again in the square brackets, I'll write the different elements separated by comma. So I can write 1, 2. I can also give string in this, since a list can contain elements of different data types. I can also give another list inside a list. So I can add another list. Suppose it is 3, 4, and 5 inside this list. And suppose this is 7. So this is how I declare the list. Now suppose if I print this list L, and if I execute this, here we go. I got a list containing all these elements. Now we will see how we access different elements inside a list. We have already seen the indexing of list. So to access any element, we simply write list name, and in the brackets, I write the index number. Suppose in the above list, I need to print the second element. So the second element in this case is 2. And we know that the indexing of a list starts from 0. So 1 is present at index 0, 2 will be present at index 1. So here I will write 1. And if I run this, here we go. I got the element 2. Now, if I want to access the second last element of the list, so to get the second last element, I will simply write L, and the index for the second last element will be -2. And if I run this, I will get 3, 4, and 5, which is a list inside the list. Now suppose I need to print a range of value in the list. To print a range of values, the syntax would be list name, and in the square brackets, I will write start index, then the index, and then the step size. So suppose now I need to print first 3 elements in the given list. Print the list name, which is L, then in the square brackets, I will write the start index, which is 0 in this case. Then I will write the end index. So since I need to print first 3 elements, the end index will be 3. A point to note in Python is that the end index is always exclusive. By exclusive, I mean that the element at the end index will not be returned. And now I will give the step size, which will be 1. And if I run this, I'll get the first 3 elements of the list. Now let us see how we add different elements in a given list. Suppose I have a list L equals to 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. And I need to add another element 6 at the end of the list. So to add a value at the end of the list, I will use the function append. I can simply write L dot append, and inside this I will pass the value as the parameter. So the value in this case will be 6, and now if I print, I will get the appended list. So this is how we add a single element in the list. Now suppose if I need to add multiple elements in the list. So to insert multiple elements at the end of the list, we use another function, that is extend. Again, the parameters for extend will be the list of elements that we need to append at the end of the list. So I will write 7, 8 and 9. I will provide the list of the elements, and now if I print the list, I should get the extended list. I'll execute this, and here we go. Now let us say we need to insert a value somewhere in between the list. For that we have another function named insert. The first parameter is the index where we want to insert the element, and the next parameter is the value of the element itself. Suppose I need to insert a value 10 at index 2, and if I print the list now, the value 10 got inserted at the index 2. So to add elements to a list, we can use either append or extend to add the elements at the end of the list, or we can use the function insert to insert the element somewhere in middle of the list. Now we will see how we delete the elements from a list. To delete the elements, we have few functions, that is pop, then we have remove, and then we have clear. Suppose I have a list L equals to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So to remove the last element from the list, I will use the function pop. So I can write L dot pop, and this will remove the last element from the list. Now if I print the list, I will get the last element removed. Now if we want to remove some particular value from the list, for that I can use the function remove, and we will pass the element that we want to remove as a parameter to the function remove. Suppose I need to remove the element 3, and if I print the updated list, the first occurrence of the element 3 will be removed from the list. Suppose now I want to remove all the values from the list. For that I can use the function clear to clear all the elements from the list, and now if I print the updated list, I will get an empty list, which means all the elements have been cleared. In case I want to delete the entire list itself, I can use the function del followed by the list name, and now if I try to print the list, it should give me an error. Now let us see another predefined data structure in Python, that is tuple. The tuple is very similar to list. It can contain multiple items in a single variable. Just like a list, a tuple is also sequenced. The only difference between a tuple and a list is that a tuple is immutable. Since a tuple is immutable, we cannot perform insert or delete operations in tuple. So we will only see how to declare a tuple and how to access elements in a tuple. To declare a tuple, we simply declare the variable equals to tuple. Another way in which we can declare an empty tuple is t equals to a pair of parentheses. If I want to declare a tuple with value, I can write t equals to, inside the parentheses, I can write the values. Or I can also declare a tuple without using the parentheses. I can simply write the values separated by comma. So I can write 1, 2, 3 and 6. Now let us see how we access different elements in a tuple. So just like a list, to access any element, we can write the tuple name and inside the square brackets, the index. So suppose I want to find the element at index 3. I'll write 3, and if I run this, I got 4. So 4 is present at index 3. Now if I need to access a range of elements, just like a list, I will write print tuple name, and in the square brackets I will write the start index. Suppose I need to find the elements in the range from index 2 to 4 with an interval of 1. If I run this, I get 3 and 4. There are two other functions that we can use with tuple. They are count and index. As the name suggests, count returns the number of times a particular value occurs inside a tuple. Suppose if I declare a tuple as 1, 2, 3, 3, 3, 4, 5, 3, and 6. And if I write print t dot count 3. So this should give me the number of times 3 is present inside a tuple. If I execute this, I got 4. Because 3 is present 4 times inside this tuple. The second function index returns the index of the first occurrence of a particular value. Suppose if I print t dot index of 3. If I execute this, I will get 2. Because the first occurrence of value 3 is present at index 2. So that was all about tuple. We have seen how to declare a tuple. Then we saw how we access a tuple. And we saw the two functions, that is count and index, associated with tuple. So that was all about this video. In the next video, we will be studying about the other two predefined data structures in Python, that is sets and dictionary. So if you liked the video, please don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe the channel. Thank you.